The human exploration ship, Valiant, drifted quietly above the surface of an unknown planet. It was a dark world, covered in thick gray clouds that rolled like smoke over endless mountains. The crew had come here because their scanners picked up an unusual energy pulse. It was not natural. It was not random, it was steady like a heartbeat. The captain ordered a landing team to investigate. They had no idea what was waiting for them below. The shuttle touched down on a rocky plain. Dust swirled around the landing gear and the explorers stepped out. There were 5 of them, armored in light suits, holding scanners and rifles. Their boots crunched against sharp stones, and the air smelled of burned metal. Every step they took echoed through the silent valley. It felt like the planet itself was listening. One of the soldiers, Lieutenant Harris, noticed something glowing between the rocks. At first it looked like a piece of crystal, but as he came closer the object pulsed as if it was alive. It was small, round, and covered in strange alien markings. Blue light leaked from cracks across its surface. The glow seemed to breathe, growing brighter and softer, like a living chest rising and falling, Captain. "I found something," Harris called over the comms. The rest of the team gathered around him. The scientist, Dr. Lena Ortiz, crouched beside the strange object. She whispered, "It looks like technology, but it feels alive." She reached out a gloved hand, but hesitated. Something in her gut told her not to touch it. The captain's voice crackled in their helmets, calm but firm. "Careful, we don't know what we're dealing with." But curiosity was stronger than caution. Harris slowly reached for the object. The moment his fingers brushed the glowing surface, the world changed, the air froze, the ground trembled. And then, a voice echoed in all of their minds. It was not spoken out loud. It was not coming from their radios, it was inside their heads, cold and sharp like broken glass. "If you dare remove it, I'll scream," the voice said. Every soldier froze, their eyes wide behind their helmets. They looked at each other, trying to understand. No one had spoken, yet they all heard the same words. The sound was not just a voice, it carried emotion, fear, anger, and warning all at once. It felt alive and it felt dangerous. Dr. Ortiz backed away quickly, her heart racing. "That was not human," she whispered. Her voice shaking, the captain asked, "Did everyone hear that?" Each member of the team nodded silently. They were soldiers, explorers, trained for danger. But none of their training had prepared them for this. The object pulsed faster now, glowing with nervous energy. The strange light cast long shadows across the rocks. Those shadows looked like claws, like hands reaching out for them. The planet's silence grew heavier, pressing against their helmets. It was as if the whole world was holding its breath. The youngest soldier, Private Kane, tried to laugh but failed. "It's just a trick, right? Some kind of alien recording?" But the voice came again, sharper, louder. "If you dare remove it, I'll scream." The sound dug into their skulls, making them flinch. It felt less like a warning and more like a threat. The captain clenched his fists. "Stay calm, do not panic. Remember who we are?" But his voice carried doubt because deep inside even he felt watched. It was not only the object that was alive. Something else was near, hidden in the fog and mountains, listening, waiting. Suddenly Harris stepped back, his hand trembling. "I swear it looked at me," he whispered. The others stared at him in confusion. But then they saw it too. The object's cracks widened, and within the glow 2 shapes formed. They looked like eyes, cold and burning, watching every single human standing there. Fear wrapped around the team like chains. Dr. Ortiz's scanner beeped wildly, showing impossible readings. She shouted, "This thing is connected to something bigger. I don't know what, but it's not alone." The voice returned, whispering softer this time. "If you remove me, everything will hear me, and then everything will come." The captain realized this was not just a discovery, it was a warning, maybe even a trap. But his duty was clear. Humanity needed answers. He took a deep breath and said, "We're taking it with us." The alien voice hissed in their heads one last time. "You will regret this." And with that, the object pulsed like a heartbeat. The ground shook under their feet. The mountains around them groaned as if waking from sleep, and the sky above cracked with a deep, unearthly roar. The team grabbed the object, lifted it into their container. None of them knew it yet, but with that single choice, they had awakened something that should never be touched. The shuttle carried the glowing object back to the ship Valiant. Inside the cargo bay, the team placed it inside a sealed container, but even through the metal walls the pulsing light leaked out. It filled the bay with a faint blue glow. Cold and alive, the crew stared at it with unease, as if the object was staring back. The captain ordered guards to stand watch. No one trusted the silence of the thing. It had already spoken once, and they feared it would speak again. Dr. Ortiz ran quick scans, her eyes wide at the results. "This is not just a device," she said softly. "It is something more, something linked," as she spoke. The lights in the bay flickered. The ship's systems were strong. But the object gave off strange interference. Private Kane swallowed nervously. "It said it would scream, Captain. What if that scream means war?" No one answered him, but the weight of his words filled the room. That night the crew could not rest. Even those not near the object felt uneasy. Dreams turned into nightmares. Soldiers dreamed of black skies filled with alien shadows. Engineers dreamed of screams so loud they shattered glass, and in every dream, glowing blue eyes stared at them, unblinking. The captain called a meeting in the command room. Everyone gathered around the table. Tired faces, shaking hands, the object was locked away below, but its presence was everywhere. "It is in our heads," Harris said, rubbing his temples. "I hear it whispering even now. It tells me to leave it, to put it back." Dr. Ortiz tapped the table nervously. Her voice shook as she explained. "The object is not only alive. It is a node, a piece of a larger system. When it says it will scream, I believe it means it will send a signal to whatever built it. And whatever waits out there," the words chilled the room. The crew looked at one another, realizing what it meant. If the device called its masters, the humans would not face one alien. They would face many, maybe an entire fleet. Humanity had found something dangerous, and now it might find them back. Before anyone could respond, the ship shook. The lights dimmed, alarms blared. The crew rushed to their stations, hearts pounding. "Report!" The captain barked. "Unknown energy surge," an officer shouted. "It's coming from the cargo bay." The cameras showed the container glowing. The blue light was no longer soft. It was blazing, burning through the cracks. Strange alien symbols appeared on the surface of the metal walls. No one had carved them. No tool had made them. They had simply burned into existence as if the object was writing its own language. And then once again the voice filled every mind on the ship. This time it was louder, harsher, carrying rage and warning. "If you dare remove it, I'll scream and they will hear me." The words slammed into their thoughts like knives. Some crew members collapsed, clutching their heads. Others screamed out loud, begging it to stop. The captain held the table with both hands. He forced his voice to stay steady. "What are you and who will hear you?" But there was no reply, only silence. A silence so deep it made the hum of the engines sound like thunder. Dr. Ortiz stood up suddenly, her eyes wide as she connected the data from her scanners. "This is not a single artifact," she whispered. "It is a warning post, a sentinel meant to detect intruders. We took it so it threatens to scream to call its makers." The captain's jaw tightened. "So if we keep it, we risk an alien fleet. And if we return it, we show weakness." His words hung heavy in the air, because both choices were filled with danger. In the lower decks, soldiers stood guard near the cargo bay. One of them, a veteran named Rourke, suddenly shouted. He swore he saw a shadow move behind the container. Others rushed over, weapons raised. But there was nothing, only the pulsing light. Yet deep in their minds, all of them felt the same thing. They were not alone. The captain ordered tighter security. He gave instructions to keep scanning for signals. But no matter what they did, the crew could not escape the whispers. At every corner of the ship, the voice seemed to follow. Sometimes soft like a child begging. Sometimes sharp like a blade pressed against their thoughts. By the next day, tension filled the air. Some soldiers demanded the captain throw the object into space. Others argued it could be the most important discovery in human history. The crew split into two groups, voices rising, fists clenching. The object had not only invaded their minds, it was tearing them apart from the inside. At the center of it all, the alien voice whispered again, "If you dare remove it, I'll scream," but this time, it added something new. "You are already being watched." The words echoed through the ship. Cold fear spread in every heart, because for the first time the humans realized the object was not simply warning them, it was promising that something out there, something far bigger, already knew they existed, and the first warning had just begun. The crew of the Valiant walked through the corridors with uneasy steps. Everywhere they went, the blue glow seemed to follow. It leaked through the vents, reflected in the windows, and clung to their skin like fog even when they looked away. They felt eyes watching them from unseen corners. The ship that once felt safe now felt haunted. Dr. Ortiz sat in the lab, scanning the object again and again. Her hands shook as she adjusted the instruments. She was a scientist, trained to study strange life and technology. But this was different. This was not just knowledge, it was invasion. Her data showed the object's energy was climbing. It pulsed in rhythm with the heartbeats of every person near it, as if it was learning them, memorizing them, binding itself to them. Private Kane, the youngest of the soldiers, grew restless. He paced outside the cargo bay. Rifle in hand, he whispered to his partner. I hear it even now, whispering in my ear, telling me I don't belong here. The other guard tried to laugh, but his laugh cracked halfway. Don't listen to it, kid, he muttered. It wants us to lose control. But both of them knew the truth. Control was already slipping. That night, Harris stormed into the captain's quarters. His face pale, his eyes wild. I can't take it anymore, he said, his voice low but trembling. It's in my dreams, it shows me visions. Endless skies filled with fire, I wake up screaming. The captain frowned. You're not alone, Harris, we're all fighting it. But Harris shook his head violently. No, you don't understand, it's not only in our dreams. It's in our thoughts, it knows what we fear most. And it uses it. The captain dismissed him with a heavy heart. He knew Harris spoke the truth. Even he could not escape the whispers. Sometimes in the silence of the command room, he heard his own name spoken by the alien voice. Not loud, not cruel, but soft, almost tender. As if it wanted him to trust it. The crew began to argue during meals. Some demanded the object be thrown into space. Others argued they must study it. For humanity's future, voices rose. Fists slammed on tables, trust began to crack. The alien presence was dividing them like a blade through glass. In the medbay, 2 engineers lay strapped to beds. They had tried to fight each other, nearly killing one another with tools. When questioned, both swore the other had been taken over. They insisted the shadows moved, that someone else was walking among them, but cameras showed no one. Only empty halls filled with flickering light. Dr. Ortiz gave her findings to the captain. Her voice was flat, tired, drained of hope. The object is sending out waves, subtle but powerful. It doesn't just threaten to scream, Captain, it already is screaming, but in silence, in ways we cannot hear. The signals could already be reaching space. We don't know who is listening. The captain clenched his jaw. So we're carrying a beacon, he muttered. A beacon painted in human blood. The ship's AI system began to glitch. Doors opened and closed by themselves. Hallway lights flickered in strange patterns, and sometimes screens displayed symbols that no human language could match. The crew tried to ignore it, but the fear grew deeper. It was not only in their heads anymore. It was inside their ship during a routine patrol. Rourke, the veteran soldier, heard footsteps behind him. He turned sharply, rifle raised, but the corridor was empty. Then the lights flickered, and for a second, he saw a shadow standing at the end of the hall. Tall, thin, with glowing eyes. When the lights came back, it was gone. But Rourke never forgot the feeling of being hunted. The captain called another meeting. His voice was steady, but the lines on his face showed the weight. We must decide soon, he said. If this is a trap, then keeping it could doom us all. If it is a chance, then destroying it could throw away humanity's only gift. The crew erupted into arguments again. Fear made them shout, anger made them blind. The object in the cargo bay pulsed brighter. As if enjoying their chaos, suddenly alarms screamed across the ship. The scanners detected something beyond the planet's orbit. Not rocks, not signals, but movement. Dr. Ortiz's voice cracked as she read the readings. Something is out there, she whispered. Something big, and it's coming closer. The captain stood frozen for a heartbeat. Then he gave the order. Shields up, weapons ready. But even as the crew ran to their stations, the alien voice slipped into their minds again, cold, cruel, and filled with laughter this time. You should have listened, it whispered. Now they are here. The ship trembled as distant shadows filled the stars. The crew of the Valiant realized too late. The tension that had torn them apart was nothing compared to what was coming. The shadows that appeared on the scanners grew clearer. They were ships, alien ships, sliding out from the darkness of space. They moved like predators circling prey, slow, careful, and certain. The crew of the Valiant stared at the screens in horror. There were at least 10 of them. Maybe more hiding behind the planet. Each one was massive. Their shapes jagged and unnatural. Like knives in the night, the captain clenched his fists. "They came for the signal," he muttered. The crew looked at each other with pale faces. The whispers from the object had become silent now, as if it had finished its work, as if it was watching and smiling. Dr. Ortiz spoke quickly, her voice trembling. "We cannot fight them, Captain. Their energy readings are beyond ours. The object called them here if we destroy it. Maybe we cut the signal." But Harris slammed his fist on the console. "Or maybe destroying it makes them attack harder. We don't know what it will do." The room fell into chaos. Voices rising again, the captain raised his hand, silencing them with a single word. "Enough." He turned to his officers, his eyes burning with decision. "We are not here to beg for mercy. We are humanity's first line in this system. If they came to test us, then they will see what humans are made of." The words were strong, but his heart felt heavy. He knew the chances were small, but humanity had faced impossible odds before. Orders rang through the ship, shields activated. Weapons charged, engines roared. The Valiant turned to face the alien fleet. The crew's fear turned into a sharp edge of determination. They would not wait to die, they would strike back. The alien ships moved closer. One of them sent a transmission. It was not a voice, but a piercing sound. Like metal grinding against bone, like screams echoing across space. The crew winced in pain, covering their ears. And then a message appeared on the screens. Glowing in strange symbols, Dr. Ortiz gasped. "It's the same writing as the object, it's their language." Before anyone could translate, the alien ship fired. A beam of blue energy cut through the void. It slammed into the Valiant's shields, shaking the entire vessel. Sparks rained down from the ceiling. Alarms screamed. The crew held their ground, gripping consoles, shouting reports, but the captain's voice was steady. "Return fire." The Valiant's cannons blazed. Red-hot beams shot into the darkness, striking the alien vessel. The impact tore a hole through its armor, flames spilling into space. The crew cheered for a moment. The alien ship twisted, burning, but then steadied itself. More ships surged forward, surrounding the humans. The battle began in full force. Every corridor of the Valiant shook with the fury of war. Weapons fired, shields flickered. Engines strained, but the humans refused to fall. Private Kane shouted, "They bleed like us. We can hurt them." His words spread through the ship like fire. The crew fought harder, their fear turning into rage. Meanwhile, in the cargo bay, the object pulsed brighter than ever. It glowed in rhythm with the battle, feeding on the chaos. Dr. Ortiz shouted over the noise of the lab. "Captain, it's connected to them when they fire. It pulses. It is their link. Their eye inside our ship." The captain's face hardened. "Then we take away their eye." Harris and a team of soldiers rushed to the cargo bay. They set charges around the container. The alien voice whispered faintly again, almost mocking. "If you destroy me, they will never stop. They will tear you apart," but Harris growled. "We'd rather die free than live as your slaves." He armed the explosives, sweat dripping down his face. The alien ships outside surged forward, their weapons charged for a final strike. The Valiant groaned under the pressure. Shields barely holding, the crew braced for impact, and then Harris pressed the trigger. The cargo bay exploded in a blinding flash. The object shattered, its blue light screaming into the void. The alien ship staggered, their weapons faltering. Energy beams collapsed mid-flight, engines flickered. The entire fleet trembled as if struck by a storm. On the bridge, Dr. Ortiz stared at her readings. Their systems are collapsing. The object was their link. Without it, they are blind. The crew erupted into cheers. The captain allowed himself the smallest smile. "Now it's our turn." The Valiant fired everything it had. Missiles streaked through space, cannons roared. Alien ships broke apart one by one. Flames lit the black sky, pieces of burning metal falling like stars. The humans shouted with triumph. The fleet that came to crush them was now retreating, broken and bleeding. But as the last alien ship fled, the whispers returned. Not from the object, it was gone, but from somewhere deeper, darker, older. "You think you have won," the voice hissed. This was only the beginning. The crew froze in silence. They had struck back, they had survived. But in the shadows of space, something greater was waiting, and humanity had just declared war. The silence after the battle was heavy. The crew of the Valiant stood at their stations, breathing hard, hands shaking. They had destroyed the object. They had crippled the alien fleet, but the last whisper still echoed in their minds. This was only the beginning. For a few hours, the ship floated above the strange planet. Engineers repaired damaged systems. Medics treated the wounded. The crew tried to believe they had won, but fear crawled in their hearts, whispering doubts if that was only the beginning. What was coming next? Dr. Ortiz sat alone in the lab. She replayed the scans taken before the object was destroyed. Her eyes widened as she noticed something she had missed. The object had not only sent energy into space, it had sent coordinates, and not to just one place, but to many. She ran to the bridge, her voice urgent. "Captain, it was not just a beacon, it was a flare. It screamed into the dark, and anyone out there could have heard it." The captain's face turned pale. "How many could be coming?" he asked. Dr. Ortiz whispered, "We don't know." Before they could say more, the scanners lit up again. The officer at the console shouted, his voice filled with panic. "Multiple signatures, hundreds, no, thousands." The screen filled with shapes emerging from the void. Not 10 ships, not a fleet, but an armada, vast and endless, stretching across the stars like a storm. The crew froze, staring at the sight. Private Kane muttered, This is impossible." But the evidence was clear. Humanity had not fought their main force. They had only fought scouts, and now the real army had arrived. The alien ships moved in perfect silence, no signals, no warnings, no messages. They did not need to threaten. Their numbers spoke for them. Rows of black vessels shaped like blades, their hulls covered in burning blue veins of energy, each one larger than the Valiant. Each one carrying weapons the humans could not name. The captain's voice was firm, but his heart felt like stone. "Shields up. Prepare for emergency maneuvers." The crew obeyed, though many knew it was useless. The aliens surrounded them like wolves around a lone prey. Every escape route was cut off. Every path was blocked. Then the voice returned, not just inside their heads, but through the speakers, through the walls, through the ship itself. "You have taken what was ours. You have destroyed what was sacred. Now you will see the face of the endless." The crew shivered as the largest alien ship moved forward. It was enormous. A floating fortress. Its shadow covered the stars from its hull. A glowing sphere of energy grew brighter. It looked like a rising sun. "Ready to swallow them whole," Dr. Ortiz whispered. "They are charging a weapon," the captain barked. Evasive maneuvers, the Valiant swerved. Engines screaming, the sphere of energy launched. Tearing through space like a comet, it grazed the shields, sending a wave of fire across the hull. The crew was thrown to the ground, sparks exploding around them. One hit like that and they would be gone. In the chaos, Harris shouted, "Captain, we cannot fight this, but maybe we can send a message. Let Earth know what is coming. Let humanity prepare." The captain nodded grimly. "Do it. Use every frequency. Blast the warning into every channel we have." The communications team rushed to obey. Their fingers flew across consoles, sending desperate signals. Outside, the alien fleet shifted again. Dozens of smaller ships broke away. They swarmed toward the Valiant like insects. Their weapons glowed, their engines howled. The humans fired back, every cannon blazing. Explosions lit the dark sky. Pieces of alien metal spun away. But for every ship they hit, 10 more closed in. Private Kane fired the gunnery controls, his hands shaking. "We're not giving up, we're humans. We fight until the end." His defiance sparked a wave of determination across the bridge. Even with death closing in, they would not bow. The alien fleet would see humanity's spirit, a spirit that refused to be broken. The fortress ship charged another sphere. Brighter than before, it lit up the entire battlefield, drowning everything in blue. The crew braced, gripping their stations. Some whispered prayers, some shouted curses, and then, just as the weapon fired, something strange happened. The planet below roared. The mountains cracked open. The clouds split apart. A surge of raw energy burst upward from the surface. It slammed into the alien sphere, shattering it in a storm of fire. The aliens paused, their formation faltering. The crew stared in shock. What was that? Harris shouted. Dr. Ortiz's eyes widened. "The planet! It was never dead. Something down there is alive, and it is fighting back." The captain gripped the console, his mind racing. The aliens were not just their enemies. The planet itself had become a player in this war. The crew of the Valiant realized the battle was far from over, and the true arrival had only begun. The crew of the Valiant stared in shock at the sight below. The planet that had seemed lifeless now glowed with rivers of energy. Mountains split apart and beams of light shot into the sky. Those beams tangled with the alien weapons, shattering them like glass. The armada, vast and endless, paused for the first time. Even their cold machines seemed unsettled by the force of the planet. Dr. Ortiz pressed her trembling hands against the console. "It's not just a world," she whispered. "It's alive, or something inside it is alive. Maybe it was sleeping. Maybe the object we touched woke it." Her words chilled the crew. Had they freed an ally or awakened something even worse? The captain did not let doubt stop him. "Whatever it is, it just saved us," he said firmly. "Now we use this chance. Humanity does not kneel. We fight," his voice carried across the bridge. Every crew member straightened, fear still in their hearts but pride pushing it down. Private Kane's eyes burned with determination. He manned the gunnery station. His hands steady now, he shouted. "If they want to test us, let's show them we don't break." The crew roared in agreement. Even those bleeding from burns, even those who had lost friends in the first attack, their spirit was unbroken. The alien fleet reorganized quickly. They moved like blades slicing through the stars. Their fortress ship pulsed again, gathering energy. But this time the humans were ready. The captain barked, "All weapons, focus fire. Strike together." The Valiant and its escort drones fired in unison. Explosions burst across the alien line. Shards of metal burned against the darkness. The humans shouted with triumph for the first time. The aliens staggered under their fire. In the cargo decks, engineers worked without rest, patching wires, sealing hull breaches, restarting systems. One of them, covered in soot, shouted to his team, "Don't stop now. Every second we hold, Earth has one more chance to prepare." They worked with bleeding hands, their sweat mixing with smoke even in the darkest hours. Humanity's will shone brighter than steel. But the enemy was endless. For every alien ship destroyed, 5 more closed in. The fortress ship opened its hull, releasing swarms of smaller craft. They buzzed like insects, sharp and deadly. They clawed at the Valiant's shields. Tearing piece by piece, the crew fought back, refusing to give an inch. In the medbay, wounded soldiers dragged themselves from their beds. They strapped on armor, picked up rifles. The medic begged them to stay down. But one soldier grinned through broken teeth. "Better to die standing with my brothers than lying in silence." They limped toward the defense lines. Even half dead, they refused to surrender. The captain's voice carried over the ship's intercom. "Listen to me, every single one of you. We are outnumbered, we are outgunned. But remember this, humans have always been outnumbered. We have always faced storms, fires, and beasts greater than us, and every time, we endured. We endure now, not just for ourselves, but for Earth, for humanity, for the future." His words filled the ship like fire. Fear turned to fury. Despair turned to strength. Private Kane shouted as he fired another blast. "For Earth." Others echoed, "For Earth. For humanity." The battle cry thundered through the ship. Their voices carried across space. Even the aliens with their cold machines must have felt it, because for a moment, their formation hesitated. The planet below roared again. Beams of light surged upward, tearing through alien ranks. The crew gasped as entire ships were ripped apart. The captain narrowed his eyes. "Whoever you are down there, keep fighting. We'll fight beside you." For the first time, humans and the unknown world fought together. 2 forces that the aliens had underestimated, now standing as one. But the alien fortress adapted. Its energy veins burned brighter. It unleashed a wave that split the planet's beams apart. The lights dimmed, the roar faded, the planet was weakening. The crew of the Valiant realized they could not rely on it alone. This fight would demand their own strength. Dr. Ortiz shouted over the chaos, "Captain, if we target the core of that fortress, the whole fleet could fall with it, but it's suicide. The shields are too strong." The captain's eyes hardened. "Then we find a way, because humanity doesn't quit." The bridge shook as another blast rocked the ship. Panels exploded, smoke filled the air. But the crew held their ground. Each of them knew the odds. Each of them knew they might not see tomorrow. And still none of them broke. The Valiant cut through the swarm. Engines blazing, cannons firing, shields flickering. It looked fragile, small against the alien storm, but inside it burned the spirit of an entire species, a spirit that refused to bow, a spirit that would fight until the last breath. And in that moment, even surrounded by endless enemies, the humans felt something greater than fear. They felt pride, because no matter what happened next, they had shown the galaxy what it meant to be human. The Valiant shook under another wave of fire. Its shields flickered, sparks rained across the bridge. The alien fortress loomed ahead, burning with energy. It was the heart of the enemy fleet. If it fell, the others might scatter. But if it stood, humanity would be crushed. The captain's face was pale but firm. "We cannot hold much longer," he said quietly. Dr. Ortiz looked at her console, her hands trembling. "The fortress draws power from a central core. If we hit it, everything connected will collapse. But no weapon we have can break those shields," her voice cracked. Unless we detonate our reactor inside its defenses." The crew froze. Her words hung heavy in the air. It meant suicide. The Valiant would not survive such an attack. But it was the only way to destroy the fortress. The captain's eyes closed for a moment. When they opened, they burned with resolve. "Then this is our choice," he said. "We end this fight, even if it costs us everything." Silence filled the bridge. The crew exchanged looks, fear and pride mixing together. Private Kane broke the silence first. "If it saves Earth, then I'll die smiling." Harris slammed his fist against his chest. "For humanity!" he growled. One by one, the crew nodded. They were ready. The captain gave orders. "Prepare the ship for one last run. All power to engines, root weapons to clear our path. This will be our final charge." The crew moved with steady hands. Every person knew their role. There was no panic now, only purpose. The alien fleet swarmed tighter. Swarms of smaller ships darted forward. The Valiant cut through them with fire and fury. Cannons blazed, missiles streaked. Each alien ship that fell cleared the path a little more. The humans shouted with every hit. Not cries of fear, but cries of defiance. The fortress charged again. A massive sphere of energy grew in its core. It was large enough to swallow the Valiant whole. Dr. Ortiz shouted, "If that weapon fires, we won't make it." The captain's jaw tightened. "Then we reach it before it fires," engines roared. The Valiant pushed harder, faster, hull plates peeled away. Metal screamed under the strain, but the crew held firm. Every second they lived was 1 second more for Earth to prepare. Every second they fought was 1 second humanity proved its spirit. In the cargo deck, engineers cried out as fires spread. They kept the engines alive with bare hands. One shouted, "We'll hold it together, Captain. Just get us close." Even as the deck collapsed around them, they never left their posts. Their sacrifice burned brighter than the flames. The fortress grew larger in the view screen. Its shields shimmered like walls of light. The captain turned to Harris. "Ready the reactor?" Harris swallowed hard, but his eyes were steady. "It will be done." The voice of the aliens returned. Cold, cruel, dripping with hate. "You are nothing, humans. You are dust beneath our endless sky. Surrender. And we may let some of you live." The crew laughed bitterly. Kane shouted into the comms, "Better dust that fights than slaves that crawl." The fortress weapon flared. The captain gave the final order, "All power forward." "This is for Earth." The Valiant surged ahead. Alien ships crashed against it, exploding in fire. The shields cracked, alarms screamed. But the ship did not stop. It was a spear of human will. Cutting through the storm, Harris entered the final code. "The reactor roared like a beast," Dr. Ortiz whispered, tears in her eyes. "We carry all of humanity with us." The captain stood tall, his hand on the console, his voice calm. "Let them remember this day. The day humanity stood unbroken. The Valiant pierced the shields." The crew screamed their war cry one last time, "For Earth!" And the reactor detonated. A blinding light swallowed the battlefield. The fortress split apart, flames tearing through its veins. The alien fleet staggered, collapsing one by one. The shockwave ripped through the void, scattering the enemy. The humans were gone, but their victory blazed across the stars on Earth. Faint signals reached the deep space stations. The warning from the Valiant, the last message carried by broken signals. It said only one thing: we fought, we endured, we are human. And across the galaxy, in that moment of fire and sacrifice, the legend of humanity's spirit was born.